First today with an approximate tip at 5:30 Central Time. We've got the 2-seed Sagu Lions taking on the number 4-seed Wayland Baptist Pioneers. And the nightcap, it'll be the top-seeded Wayland Baptist Flying Queens against the number 3-seed Texas Wesleyan Rams. Here in the men's game, Sagu 21-8. They were 15-7 during regular season conference play, ranked 24th nationally heading into this game. For Wayland Baptist, a mid-season renaissance, leading them not only into the top 4 of the conference, but now here into the conference tournament final. 19-12 overall, 13-9 during regular season play. Wayland Baptist, after a loss against this Sagu team on January the 15th, stood at 8-10 overall. They went 11-2 in their last 13 games. They had gone 9-1 in their last 10. They beat the top seed USAO Drovers yesterday by a final count of 78-64. For Sagu, a win against the number 3 seed OCU Stars by the count of 78-64. So that's how we find each other. Those teams find each other here this evening. It is the second time in which the two teams have played each other in the championship game, last of which was in 2018. Sagu winning that, and Sagu looking to win the conference tournament for the third time in 5 seasons. Did it in 2018, did it in 2020, and looking to do it here in 2022. They are 9-2 in the conference tournament under current head coach Delton Deal. The team split their two regular season meetings. It was Sagu coming back to win against Wayland Baptist 67-65 in mid-January. That was a game that Wayland Baptist led by 10 with 4.5 minutes left, still had a 9-point lead with 2.5 minutes to go, but Sagu, with an incredible comeback in that game, finished the game on a 14-2 run. They went crazy from 3 late, including 3 of which by Isaiah Bowling. In the rematch, though, it was all Wayland Baptist, 94-74. The 94 points by Wayland Baptist, a season high in a conference game. And for Sagu, a game in which they could not stop Wayland Baptist from deep, 17 made threes by Wayland Baptist. We will pause for the invocation and the national anthem. When we come back, we'll have the starting lineups. You're watching the SAC Sports Network.
This time, if you would please stand for invocation and remain standing for the national anthem immediately after. Thank you, God, for the chance to come together around the game that we love called basketball. We pray that the players tonight would be safe. God would play to the best of their abilities. We pray that the referees and the official and the coaches would have wisdom as they do their portion. God, we pray that we as spectators would honor you.
Here are the starting lineups in case you weren't able to catch them for Wayland Baptist. They'll be the visitors. Their guards, R.J. Mason, 6-foot junior from DeSoto, Texas. Josh Cervantes, a 6-foot sophomore from Shallowater, Texas. Dylan McDougall, 6'2", freshman from Moore, Oklahoma. The forwards, Jackson Reeser, 6'7", freshman from Pottsboro, Texas. And Jarrell Washington, 6'8", senior from Waco, Texas, the conference's Defensive Player of the Year. For the Sagu Lions, starting guards, Noah Bowling, 5'10", sophomore from Van Alstyne, Texas. Joshua Kashila, 6'3", senior from Luanda, Angola. Isaiah Bowling, 6'3", senior from Van Alstyne, Texas. The forwards, Nathan Bailey, 6'5", senior from New Orleans. And Joel Polius, a 6'8", senior from St. Lucia.
Isn't it always the way you host a conference tournament in one city and every team that's playing in the championship round is from out of state?
It'll be won on the tip by Wayland Baptist. Here we go in the 2022 Sooner Athletic Conference Tournament Men's Basketball Championship. Reeser leaving for Cervantes, left side. Now it's McDougall driving in against Bowling. Back out towards the corner. Ball is tipped. Now grabbed by Bailey. Bailey to the rim. Too strong. Rebounded by Cervantes.
Good anticipation there on the cross court by Bailey. And really surprised he couldn't finish that. He glided right to the rim and just left it on the wrong part of the backboard.
Bailey had a huge first half yesterday against OCU. 15 points. Mason, the star for Wayland Baptist, tried to get it to Washington, and another steal already by Bailey. Seeing early why he is on the conference's all-defensive team. Now Bailey with the ball in his hands. Noah Bowling leaves for Polius. Polius too strong with the hook, and then he goes over the back of Washington, called for the foul. Wayland Baptist, winners of 9 of 10, 11 of 13. It's been a bit of the opposite for Sagu, even though they're starting to refine their footing. They were the preseason number 3 team of the country after making it to the national tournament's Fab 4 last year. Mason called for stepping on the end line of the ball. Back to the Lions, 3 early turnovers by Wayland Baptist.
That one was caused by Isaiah Bowling. Good defense staying in front, put his foot out of bounds, so R.J. Mason couldn't get by him.
Noah Bowling, who has double figures in 4 straight, leading for Kashila, playing in his 3rd career conference championship. Polius had it knocked away by McDougall. McDougall pushing up the far side, now slowed things down for Wayland Baptist. Cervantes lets it go from 3 and hits. Cervantes yesterday was 0 for 9 from 3, but he buries his first today. Polius, the tip, does not go after the Kashila miss. And a rebound by Wayland Baptist. Cervantes again. He had 18 against Sagu in the last meeting. He was 6 of 10 overall, 4 of 8 from 3, and a hot start for Cervantes, who now picks up a foul.
Yeah, yesterday was an anomaly for Josh Cervantes. He's a 34% three-point shooter this season, and you know, he's out there to shoot threes. And 0 for 9 yesterday. He's making up for it in a hurry today.
Well, it's the mentality you have to have as a shooter. Just keep going at it. So the 6-0 lead for Wayland Baptist. They hit 17 threes, a season high in their last meeting with the Lions. Kashila, though, from the corner. It is a three-pointer. Kashila was the tournament's MVP in 2020. Cervantes this time inside the arc, too short. And there is Reeser with nobody even close to him there for the easy tip. 8-3 lead for Wayland Baptist. Tried to get it to Bailey on the back cut. Eventually does after the deflection. He goes up and is fouled. Our officials here in this game are Chris Hill, Winston Stith, and Sean Seals. Nathan Bailey heading to the free throw line this season. Bailey is a 76.7% shooter, making the first. Now, Andrew, you brought up the point yesterday. Really, 2 guys who have stepped up big since Nicholas Mason was injured, one of which Bailey, another which is Keenan Gooden, who will come off the bench. And Bailey, who makes both free throws. Already has 2 steals in this game. Over 18 points per game since Mason's injury. Now, Nicholas Mason is dressed today. McDougal lost his footing. It'll be another turnover for Wayland Baptist. So Mason, a former conference player of the year, got hurt in a game against Mid-America Christian back on February the 17th. Has not played since. He is dressed today in the scorer's book. Don't know if it's just a gambit by Delton Deal or if we will see him. Polius will try a straight on 3 and rims out, and a rebound by Reeser.
That's a surprising shot. He's only taken 11 threes all year. Trying to make him pay for leaving him all by himself out there, but that's probably not the shot they want.
Cervantes, baseline, goes underneath, it is fouled, and the basket good. He takes on both Bailey and Polius. Already 8 points for Cervantes. Bailey picks up his first foul. Keenan Gooden, who we were just talking about, coming in for Sagu, replacing Noah Bowling. Jordan Brannon will check in for the Pioneers, replacing McDougal. Cervantes, 24-31 at the line this season. The sophomore out of Shallowater, Texas. Short on the free throw and rebounded by Kashila. Gooden, who has seen a big uptick in minutes of late, has it on the baseline underneath, finding Polius, passed up an open shot. Now Bowling drives in, handing off to Gooden. The kick. Bailey will try a 3 off the side of the rim and rebounded by Washington. 10-5 lead for the Pioneers. Cervantes with 8 of the 10 points so far, a little over 4 minutes into the game. Mason handing off to Brannon, who began his collegiate career at Sagu. He'll reverse in the corner to Reeser, but he was out of bounds. So far, Wayland Baptist, they're 4 or 5 from the floor, but they've turned it over 5 times.
The other side, Sagu just 1 for 6. And keep in mind, Wayland Baptist is the top defensive team in the conference. They hold opponents to just 62 points per game. They also get 5 block shots a game.
Thad Udo, who was a huge factor in the first half against USAO yesterday in the game for the Pioneers, has a good block out on Gooden off of the Bailey miss. Now Mason controlling for Wayland Baptist. He led the way for Wayland yesterday with 21. Brannon on the baseline, finding Mason for 3, in and out, and rebounded by Bailey. Gooden right side, takes a dribble, pulls up way too strong, that it comes to Polius. His putback doesn't go either. He just picked up his second foul.
And he's missed 3 right at the rim. Very frustrated. He's going to come out. Here's Nicholas Mason.
Nicholas Mason, his first game since February the 17th. He wasn't even dressed yesterday. So usually a guy might dress for a game or 2 before finally getting in, but he is in. Again, the team's, even though he's missed 6 games, he's still the team's leading scorer. He has been an outstanding player at his time at Sagu. Had a miss last year. Brannon driving in and called for a push-off on Bowling. Oh, this is a surprising development. Sagu, after a blowout win against USAO on January the 22nd, they were 16-3, but they lost their next 2. Finished the regular season 3-5 over their last 8 games. Ball gets tipped around. Here's Mason's first offensive touch. Kashila's 3 on the way. Does not go, with a strong rebound by Cervantes on the weak side. They lost, again, Mason. They lost Tyler Kinghorn, one of their members of the rotation in the forward spot. Udo gets the lob and is fouled by Bailey.
Yeah, Sagu right now playing without a true post player. Gooden is the closest thing on the floor to a post player right now, and Wayland tried to lob it inside, and they're going to get free throws out of it after the timeout.
And the second on Bailey, so 2 on Bailey and 2 on Polius. A little less than 6 minutes into the game, Sagu is going to take an early timeout here with Wayland ahead 10-5. Again, they lost Mason February 7th, lost Kinghorn February the 12th, then Kashila didn't play in 3 of the final 4 regular season games. So it was an adjustment period for Sagu, but now again finding their footing again. Impressively, 3rd time in 5 years under current head coach Delton Deal. They are in the conference tournament championship game. They are 9-2 under Delton Deal in the conference tournament. Wins in 2018 and 2020. And they beat Wayland Baptist in 2018, a game played at John Brown. 90-81 was the final. Wayland led by 5 in the half, but it was a dominant second half by Sagu, which included a team-high 21 points by then freshman Joshua Kashila. Brandon gets it off the corner inbound, and it shot is missed and cleared by Sagu. Mason, 15 feet out, left side, giving off to Kashila, draws a foul, and Brandon picks up his second. And Brandon and looked like Alaric Hall having a little chat. Brandon also picked up a couple of early fouls in yesterday's game, but Clint Gallion trusting him. At least yesterday, but not this time. McDougal's going to come in. Clint Gallion in his first year with Wayland Baptist, he is personally looking to take whatever team he has coached to a 4th consecutive conference tournament championship. He was previously at Central Baptist in Arkansas. In each of his final 3 seasons there, he had conference tournament champions and a chance to do it here against Sagu. Hall to his left, leaving for bowling. The monster game of the first meeting between the teams. 7 to shoot. Good and behind the back pass to Mason. Now bowling. Side step to his left and buries the 3.
Good shot fake there for Isaiah Bowling. Gets his first basket.
Bowling, big game in the first meeting. 9 points in the last, but it came on a total of 10 shots and is 1 of 7 from 3. A whistle away from the ball on Hall. Now Hall's first, team's 5th, 10-8 lead for Wayland Baptist. Now there are, I'm sure, a lot of bubble teams in the country with interest in this game. As McDougal, nice hesitation with the left, but too strong off the glass. Good in the other way for Sagu. Too high over Bowling, out of bounds. There are a lot of bubble teams rooting for Sagu to win this game. As good as Wayland Baptist's season has been, don't know if they still get into the national tournament. I should say, as good as their last month has been, certainly still a question if they get into the national tournament without a win tonight. Mason spinning off the back of the rim. Udo tips it out. Gage Hall's able to track it down for the Pioneers. McDougal giving to Halls. Close out from Bowling. Goes off the side of the backboard, and it caroms back to Halls. But the shot clock now down to 6. McDougal, a jump stop, and through traffic, gets the left-handed shot to go.
That is a tough defensive split right there for McDougal. He's showing some good ball handling skills. Playing close to his home. He's a Moore High School graduate, not too far away from our campus here.
Reeser in for Wayland Baptist to replace Washington. Caleb Hughley in for the first time for the Lions. 12-8 lead for Wayland Baptist. 12:15 remaining. Hughley, baseline jumper, off the line, and what a rebound by Mason, who then is fouled by Nick Mason. R.J. Mason going up high to get that rebound.
And that is already 16 fouls on Sagu. So We may be seeing a lot of foul shots here in the first half because we still got 12:08 left in the half. Next foul by Sagu is going to put Wayland Baptist in the 1-and-1 bonus.
Reeser just inside the arc, giving to Udo, working against the freshman Hughley. They work in the corner to McDougal. He lets it fly, unable to connect, and a strong rebound that time by Hughley. Hall up the far side, comes to a stop. Down low to Mason, kick to an open Bowling from the right side. Line drive shot off the side of the rim and rebounded by Hulse. Pioneers a quarterfinal win against John Brown yesterday, beating USAO. Udo slips it to Reeser. Now the pass to Hulse, and Hulse knocking down the three. Had a couple of threes at key moments yesterday against USAO.
Hughley tried to swipe the pass rather than covering up the shooter.
Hall given some space to shoot. He'll go on the baseline, give it out to Bowling. He will not hesitate and knock in another.
That was a great pass from Alric Hall off the drive, hung in the air and just kind of wrapped it around to the top of the circle.
Isaiah Bowling in the first meeting between these teams had the game-winning three with 14 seconds left as part of a 23-point second half to help Sagu to a win. He was 6 of 6 from three in that half. Udo's turnaround in the middle of the lane. Off the mark and rebounded by Sagu, down by 4. Hughley left open for three, left side, and he splashes it in.
It's just his 5th three made all year.
The freshman from Hot Springs, Arkansas, pulls Sagu in within one. It is 15-14. McDougal now met by Mason. Hulse fakes the pass, step back three. Off the mark, offensive rebound by Udo. Now McDougal drives in. That's off the right side of the rim. What a rebound by Reeser. Back up and in on the third shot of the possession by Wayland Baptist. Now Reeser had a tremendous game in the quarterfinals yesterday. Also another solid day in which he had 9 points and 8 rebounds. Hughley going to try it again. This game is tied. Back-to-back threes from an unexpected source in Caleb Hughley. Wayland Baptist is called, or no, it is a timeout called by Sagu. A full timeout called by Sagu. They have spent 2 timeouts here in the first half. So Caleb Hughley came into today just 47 total points in 24 games, 7 of 21 from 3, and he has knocked in a couple to pull Sagu even in this game. Recapping how these teams got here for Wayland Baptist. And it was a win against John Brown in the quarterfinals. Game was delayed an extra day due to the winter storm, so they didn't play till Saturday. Won it 74-61. Mason and Reeser combined for 39 in that game. They shot 53% from the floor. And then yesterday, the 11th time this season, Wayland Baptist has played a game decided by 1 or 2 possessions. They are now 7-4 in those games. USAO entered on a roll, 17-2 in their previous 19. They led by 3 at half. They pushed the lead to 9 with 14:42 left, but USAO then went on a 20-8 run to take a lead. It stayed tied at 62-62 from 4:41 to 1:53. R.J. Mason on 3 consecutive possessions for Wayland Baptist hit either a go-ahead basket or free throw, including what put them in the lead for good with under a minute to play. It is only 3 of the game. Cervantes had the hot hand early. He's back in, as is Brannon. They find Hulse on the left side. Hulse fading, unable to hit. Good and able to save it, still loose, and picked up by Jacob Rainey, who just came into the game, but he stepped out of bounds. So no R.J. Mason, no Jabrail Washington, no Dylan McDougal on the floor right now for the Pioneers. And for the Lions, no Kashila. And the 2 fouls for both Polius and Bailey. So a bit further down the depth chart for both teams. Cervantes unable to get that one. Hughley able to battle and get the rebound.
Great minutes for Caleb Hughley in this game. Foul trouble for Bailey and Polius. Pressed into action, and he has performed.
Rainey almost turned it over again. Bowling's pass tip comes in the hands of Rainey. Bowling, jump stop, out to Gooden, 6 to shoot. Gooden committed a travel. Stays tied, 17 all 8:30 left. For Sagu, a quarterfinal win against Mackay at home, 90-83. Game they were down with 2:45 to go, but Bailey hit a go-ahead 3 in the next possession to spark a 7-0 run. And they closed the game on a 14-2 run. Sagu runs a big theme of yesterday's win against OCU. Strong rebound there by Nicholas Mason. He gets it back to the hole and lays it in.
Simple give-and-go action. Keenan Gooden found Nicholas Mason. First basket for him.
First lead of the game for Sagu at 19-17. 7:49 remaining in the first. Cervantes stops baseline, got Mason up in the air and able to step through and hit a double-figure scoring half for Cervantes. Entry pass to Mason, over 2 defenders, too strong. Hughley's tip doesn't go either, and Reeser now able to grab it for the Pioneers. Javorian Miller controlling for Wayland Baptist. Reeser and Brandon both come out to set screens. Miller too strong with a runner off the glass. 19-19, 7:08 remaining. Hughley too strong. Ball still loose, grabbed by Gooden. He'll kick out to Rainey for a reset. It's the second offensive rebound so far for the Lions. Noah Bowling with it, down to 4 in the shot clock for Sagu. Gooden will spot up for 3 and drain it as the buzzer goes off.
Keenan Gooden does not shoot threes. He's now 3 out of 6 for the year from 3. Had to launch it at the end of the shot sequence.
They have gotten 3 threes from unexpected sources. Cervantes' turnaround off the back of the rim, rebounded by Sagu. Now some guys stepping up with Polius and Bailey in foul trouble, and Kashila still currently on the bench. Gooden around the perimeter to his left, out to Hughley. Pump fake, drives in. Hughley called for a charge, running it to Reeser. It's like some of the frontliners for both teams getting ready to come back in. For the Pioneers, Mason, Udo, and Washington. And for the Lions, Isaiah Bowling and Kashila. Joshua Kashila with a big game today could get to 2,000 career points. He needs 28. And it was a 5-season career for Kashila. I mentioned this is his 3rd conference tournament final appearance. 40 total points in his previous 2. Brannon stopping right elbow off to R.J. Mason. Double teamed on the baseline and committed a travel. R.J. Mason now with 3 turnovers, no points.
I remember yesterday, not a great first half for R.J. Mason, but an otherworldly second half.
Had the final basket right before the halftime buzzer, then 16 more in the second half, so basically 18 in the final 20-plus minutes. He closes out defensively that time on Bowling, and Udo comes away with a rebound for the Pioneers. 3-point Sagu lead. Cervantes over a screen off the left side of the rim, and it'll deflect out of bounds. Even though these two teams have both been in the conference since the 2013-14 season, just the third time they have faced each other in the tournament at any point. Sagu winning both previous meetings. Most recently, quarterfinal matchup in 2020. Kashila backing down Mason. Turnaround short. Tipped by Washington. Back to Kashila, though. Bowling knifes in. They work it around to Kashila. Wrap around pass to Gooden, who took a slide step. Called for a travel.
Yeah, usually you can't move 8 feet without dribbling, and that's about how much Keenan Gooden shifted from one side of the basket to the other, didn't put it on the ground. So pretty easy call there.
22-19. This is the largest lead today for Sagu. Sagu, win or loss today, going to go back to the national tournament. Now Clint Gallion and one of the officials talking some things over. Looked like Paris Hewitt, one of his injured players, was standing up near the court. Official wanted him to sit down. Whatever.
Yeah, I'm not sure what that was about.
It's a championship game. Guys are excited. It's okay to have fun. Udo gets a lob right side. Turnaround and goal. Washington skies up for the rebound. Cervantes open again.
Well, yesterday was Thad Udo with a huge first half, and today it's Cervantes. 13 points. He's made 3 threes.
Kashila from the baseline landed awkwardly after the shot. He was held scoreless in his one game against Wayland Baptist this year, his first scoreless game since his freshman season. Cervantes feeling it, but that one is short. Covered well by Sagu. It is tied 22-22. Gooden with it for the Lions. Passing back, getting it from Bowling. That's a double dribble. Wayland Baptist, they won back-to-back tournament titles in 2015 and 2016. Then they went in a slump in the conference tournament. They had lost 3 straight years in the quarterfinals, had lost 4 straight tournament games, had lost in the quarters in 4 of the past 5 years, but now back in the championship. Cervantes over Bowling off the glass. His huge first half continues.
He's doing it every which way. Usually he's just a standstill 3-point shooter. Today he's a 3-level scorer.
Bowling, contested shot off the back of the rim. The rim protector, Jabrea Washington, doing what he does best. It's a 24-22 Wayland lead. Brandon thought about a long 3, lost his balance. Well, second time around that same spot in the court we've seen a player lose his footing. Now Cervantes in the last meeting had 18, which is his second highest scoring game of the season. He and McDougal combined for 34 in that game for a pair that on the season combines to average about 15 per game. Hall giving off to Nicholas Mason. Back to Hall. Trying to slip it back to Mason. Taken away. Here's Wayland Baptist Mason. Or Cervantes. Back to RJ. Second team all-conference performer. 2:17 remaining in the first. A 24-22 lead. At the pace and score Wayland Baptist wants it to be at. Mason from the lane, unable to get it. Udo could not track it down. Clint Gallion, after yesterday's game, saying if we can keep him around 65, we've got a great chance. It's a tough task. Sagu's only been held under 70 in 5 games this year, one of which was against Wayland Baptist, but a Sagu win. Then again, they held a red-hot USAO offense to 68 yesterday. Kashila called for an offensive foul. Brannon taking the charge.
And this game has really changed since about the midway point of the half. We had a timeout at about a 9:30 mark, and the game was tied at 17. Since then, 7-5.
The stars for both teams have been quiet in this first half. Udo, too strong off the back of the rim. Washington overran it. Nick Mason in transition. He's been doing that for several years for Sagu. The lost art of the mid-range, which he excels at.
Nobody in this league elevates on the jump shot like Nicholas Mason. He almost shoots it at a downward trajectory. He gets so high on his jump shots.
1 minute to play in the half. We are tied 24-24. Brannon needs some help. Called for a 5-second violation. Gooden back in for Sagu to replace Noah Bowling. And McDougal checks in for Brannon. .45 seconds to go. Now down to 20 on the shot clock. Nicholas Mason, bounce feed to Bowling. Kick to an open Gooden. Contact in the lane, no whistle. Nicholas Mason's three off the back of the rim. Washington battling for the rebound, coming down with it. Shot clock off with 26 seconds to play. McDougal going to his right, under 20 now, handing off to Mason. He'll look for another late bucket in the first half. 10 seconds left for Wayland Baptist. Washington comes out to set a screen. Mason guarded by Kashila, slipping to Washington. The one-hand jam with about a second and a half left, and it will give the Pioneers the lead at the break.
Well, Washington only makes a couple of baskets a game. And if that's the only one he makes today, it was the loudest one he'll have.
R.J. Mason facilitating and making that play happen. And just like yesterday, right in the middle of a bucket, shortly before the halftime buzzer. And the Pioneers of Wayland Baptist looking to keep their recent roll going all the way into the national tournament. They lead 26-24 at halftime. We will take a break and come back with a look inside the first half numbers. You're watching coverage of the Sooner Athletic Conference men's basketball tournament on the SAC Sports Network. Halftime of our men's championship game with the 4-seed Wayland Baptist Pioneers leading the 2-seed Sagu Lions 26-24. Even though it wasn't the highest scoring first half, an exciting first half indeed. Wayland Baptist going 11 of 31 from the floor, 35.5%. They hold Sagu 8 of 26. Sagu notably on non-3-point shots, so shots inside the arc, were just 2 for 14. They did go 6 of 12 from 3, but just 2 for 14 on 2-point shots. Yesterday against OCU, Sagu hit 60% of their shots inside the arc at 21 of 35. That's the first notable thing. We only had 3 free throws in that first half. As Andrew mentioned, there was a lot of whistles early. There was about 10 fouls about halfway through, and maybe even less than halfway through the first part of the period, but ended up with only a total of 11 fouls there in the first half. Rebounds were 20 to 18 for Wayland Baptist. For mention that Wayland Baptist 4 of 11 from 3, and 3 of those by Josh Cervantes. More on him in a moment. Offensive rebounds 6 to 3 for Wayland Baptist. Second chance points 9 to 3 for Wayland. Both teams committed 9 turnovers, but Wayland Baptist in points off turnovers, a 10-0 advantage. Yesterday, that was a huge theme in yesterday's game against USAO, in which they had a 26-13 advantage in points off turnovers. So Sagu unable to convert any of 9 Wayland turnovers. They had as many shots as turnovers, 5 and 5 early in this game, but unable to convert any of them into points. Also notable that really it was not the team's headlining stars that did much damage. For Joshua Kashila of Sagu, held to just 3 points. Nathan Bailey and Joel Poliuson combined 2 points. They only played a combined 11 minutes, with both each picking up 2 fouls. Josh Cervantes led all scorers with 15 points. A day after he was 0 for 9 from 3, he went 3 for 5 from 3 in the first half and 6 of 11 overall. R.J. Mason, who during this 10-game stretch for Wayland Baptist has averaged nearly 19 points per game, he was held scoreless, 0 for 3, and also forced into 3 turnovers, but did have that brilliant assist right before the break. 4 points by Jackson Reeser, 2 each by McDougal and Washington, and then 3 by Gage Hulse. For Sagu, 6 points by Caleb Hughley, freshman who was averaging 2 points a game. He had a couple of threes. Hughley also had 3 rebounds in his 6 minutes. He was tied for the team lead with Isaiah Bowling, who was 2 for 5 from the floor and 2 for 4 from a 3-point range. We saw Nicholas Mason play for the first time since February the 17th. He ended up playing 13 minutes, so not exactly just dipping his toe back into the water, more of a cannonball right back into the pool. He had 4 points on 2 for 4 shooting, as well as 4 rebounds, 3 by Keenan Gooden, as again, Sagu finding themselves trailing here 26-24 at half as they look to win their 3rd championship in the last 5 years.
Yeah, I think it's interesting how they're using Nicholas Mason, too. He's been playing mostly the 5 spot when he's in there. He's been operating out of the post, and they've kind of run some little high post motion action with him and let him operate at the 5. Particularly after Polius went out, that was important because, like we said, they don't really have much of a post presence outside of Polius. And if you can put Nicholas Mason at that spot, you won't find a much more dynamic 5 player. He's not going to be the biggest guy in the world, but he's got some length at 6'6", and I thought that was an interesting strategy for Delton Deal to put Nicholas Mason back in his first action and use him mostly at the 5 offensively.
Coming up after this game, we will have the women's final between Wayland Baptist and Texas Wesleyan. It is Texas Wesleyan's first ever appearance in the Sooner Athletic Conference Tournament Championship game. Well, for Wayland Baptist, you can basically set your calendar to them being in the conference championship. They're in it for the 6th time in 7 years. They'll look for a 4th straight title, and they have also won 4 of the previous 5. Again, that game to tip at approximately 8 o'clock. Of course, after the winner of this one, they will cut down the net, celebrate. We'll have the announcement of the conference tournament's MVP. 26-24, Sagu leading at the break. We're back in about 7 minutes with the second half. You're watching the SAC Sports Network.
MACU has changed my life. I can say by far it was one of the best decisions I could have ever made. What I really like about MACU is our community is really close. Everybody knows each other. The environment is unbelievable. The relationships here for me have been really, really important. I think the professors have been amazing with me, and there's more than a relationship than a professor-student. It's like more also as a friend, and I really, really appreciate that. My best experience has been soccer, to be honest, because I've learned so much from my teammates, from my coaches. The leadership from my coach has been unbelievable. My growth spiritually at MACU has been huge for me, to be honest. The things like going to chapel and even the environment of the school has impacted my life in a different ways. You have a little bit of understanding about Christianity, but once you come here at MACU, you get into it, you go to chapel, and actually you read the Bible. It's helping me through daily choices, relationships in a way that I could have never thought, to be honest, before. My name is Andri Coppa, and I'm a MACU Evangel.
MACU has affected my life in every single area. It's affected my spiritual life, it's affected my educational life, it's affected my social life.
It affected my life in like a really positive way because I'm a Christian. That's why I love MACU, because you can be yourself.
MACU's done a great job preparing me for life outside, especially getting into med school.
MACU has challenged me in my education in ways that I've never thought I would be challenged.
We just are literally a family, and I love that, and I love our friend group and the way that we're all able to grow together spiritually. That's so good.
I always wanted to live what I'm living right now, like living on campus, playing soccer for the school, and living community. For me, it was the perfect choice.
To be in an environment where you have your professor's number, you can reach them anytime. Being at MACU where everyone wants you to succeed and do like the best you can in whatever you want to do is huge.
MACU is different because I see people caring about my life here. They don't see you like as a number.
I love campus life. There's just so much to do, and there's never a dull moment. MACU's fun. Like, it's a fun place to be, and I'm glad that I'm here.
A life explored brings about any number of challenges. The beaten path rarely leads to progress or a true meaningful difference. At Mid-America, we understand that perseverance and faith strengthen resolve, build character, and ultimately lead to success. We are believers that within all of us lives the innate ability to dream, to learn, and to achieve. You provide the desire. We provide the tools and flexible curriculum for your success. We work with you, for you, in the knowledge that your purpose has purpose. No matter your obstacles, we're fostering an environment with one goal in mind: developing the greatness within you. Mid-America Christian University. Dream bigger. Do greater.
A community is far more than simple bricks and mortar. A community is a home. A place where effort and kindness are repaid in full. Where when one stumbles, a helping hand is there to lift you up, brush you off, and help you on your way. But what happens when challenges are immense and the losses are great? In the true spirit of community, tragedy is met with a swell of support and those willing to roll up their sleeves and build back, stronger, better. At Mid-America, we are a community of educators and believers. We provide flexible educational tools. You provide the resolve. Mid-America Christian University. Dream bigger, do greater.
In and away from the start of the second half with Wayland Baptist leading Sagu 26-24. Alex Breeden and Andrew Himes with you here. And thank you so much for all those who have joined us over the last couple of days as another Sooner Athletic Conference basketball season comes to a close. Sagu trying to, again, win a conference tournament title for the third time in 5 years. Last time they were in the championship game, it was a runaway win for Sagu, 66-51 against John Brown. As mentioned, these teams met each other in 2018. Sagu winning 90-81. They were down by 5 at the half, but outscored Wayland Baptist 47-33 in the second half. For Wayland Baptist, and made it to the title game in 3 straight years, 14, 15, and 16, with wins in 15 and 16. Bailey and Polius back on the floor after not playing much in the first due to foul trouble. They're joined by the Bowlings and Kashila. Polius had it knocked away. Yesterday, Joel Polius started the second half for Sagu on a personal 9-0 run against OCU. Mason, McDougal, Washington, Cervantes, and Reeser. The starters for the Pioneers back out there. Washington baseline left, leaving for Cervantes. Bounce feed to Washington. Bounces now to Reeser underneath on the right side.
Yeah, that is just textbook offense right there. Cross the lane delivery and Reeser wide open.
28-24. Backdoor feed to Bailey. A little bit off balance. He tumbles and hits the wall after he could not get the tip to go. Now a blocking foul on Isaiah Bowling. You can now make that 2 for 15 on 2-point shots for Sagu in this game. Mason from the corner, his first basket today. It is a 2. Bowling now at the other end. Just threw it in the middle to nobody. I don't know if he was expecting someone trailing to come up and get it, but it ends up as a turnover. Mason trying again, nothing but net.
R.J. Mason has been activated.
Early timeout by Delton Deal and Sagu. Going back to the end of the first half, it is a 9-0 run for the Lions. They have scored the first 7 points of the second half.
R.J. Mason had 16 second half points yesterday. He scored the 5 in a row. His team has scored the first 7 here in the half.
And Wayland Baptist trying to cap the midseason transformation, going from 8-10 after their first game against Sagu to going 11-2 after that, winning 9 of 10 entering today. They have their largest lead at 33-24. Polius looking to hand off to Alaric Hall, who comes in out of the timeout. He replaces Noah Bowling. And another turnover. Pass is picked off by Reeser. McDougal thinking about it. Still holding on to the ball for quite some time, but not close enough from Bowling to draw a 5-second count. See if Mason looks to do it again, getting a screen from Washington. Mason to his right, comes to a jump stop, passing out to McDougal. 5 on the shot clock. McDougal driving in with the right hand off the side of the rim. Ball still loose. Reeser knocked it away from Polius, and now gathered by Bailey. Polius behind. Washington cannot finish.
Yeah, Polius is frustrated there, but that one was a good play by Washington. I don't know if he got a piece of it or not, but he affected that shot quite a bit.
Polius had been a horse of late. Mason off the back of the rim that time. Last 7 games for Polius, over 14 points per game, nearly 10 rebounds per game. Now 2 quick fouls in today's game. Bailey right side, in and out. Oh, their first 3 from the half. McDougal stopping right elbow. Lobbing it back just inside the half-court stripe to Mason with 8 to shoot. To Reeser in the corner. Contested baseline jumper comes right to Polius on the weak side. Polius given space on the arc. Handing off to Kashila. He's only got 3 in this game. Kashila getting past Cervantes and sends it in off the glass. 33-26 the score. McDougal cut off by Bailey. Going to be whistled for a blocking foul, his 3rd. Well, Nathan Bailey, in a very similar spot against OCU, picked up his 3rd foul around the same time of the game. Delton Deal left him in. He picked up the 4th just a couple plays later. This time he will come out. Nicholas Mason and Keenan Gooden back in.
Yeah, and the unfortunate part about that 4th foul that Bailey picked up is the guy who was going to sub in for him was at the table to check in, just couldn't get him in time before the 4th. This time he does get him out.
Washington leads for Mason, open for 3. Unable to connect. Rebounded by Gooden, quickly up to Kashila. Kashila comes to a stop inside the free throw line, working it to Hall. Now the post feed. Beautiful bounce from Polius to Kashila. It'll be goaltending on Washington, pinning it off the backboard.
So Kashila now with 7. And that was a great bounce pass from the post. Crossed the lane by Polius.
McDougal out of the circle. Leaves for Washington. Not a threat to do much out there. Now Mason able to shake his defender. Get it. Contested 3 by Cervantes. That's his toughest one of the day.
3-pointer number 4 by Cervantes. 18 points.
The total he had against Sagu when they played each other last time. The Lion Tamer, if you will. As Polius working now against Washington. There's his first basket today. 36-28. Now just 1 of 3 games this season for Cervantes with 18 or more. His season high is 22. That was set against Southwestern Christian in November. McDougal slipping over to Reeser. And now Wayland Baptist calling timeout. Freshman of freshmen for Wayland Baptist. And that reminds me of something I've been meaning to bring up. I mean, win or lose for Wayland, they are going to be, if not the preseason favorite next year, amongst the preseason favorite. They don't lose anybody. Mason is a junior. You have this core of freshmen that has just gotten better and better as the year has gone on. And McDougal and Reeser. Cervantes only a sophomore. They had Parrish Hewitt transfer from Northwestern Oklahoma State. He didn't get eligible till the second semester, then only played 6 games. He averaged over 17 points per game during that time, but only played 6 games before he had to end his season, so he won't be able to redshirt and come back next year. Thad Udo, didn't mention him. It is going to be a loaded Wayland Baptist team next season. But they are not worried about the future, only about the present now, with an 8-point lead, 38-30, here in the second half. Thad Udo will come in the game out of the timeout, as will Jordan Brannon for the Pioneers. No subs for the Lions. Gooden with it. Left side guarded by Udo. Hall getting a screen from Polius to his left, leaving for Mason. Kashila with 9 to shoot, lead for Polius. Now Gooden with 5. Gooden passing over to Polius towards the basket. Gave it up with a second on the clock. Hall's 3 off the front of the rim. Ball is loose. Tied up between Washington and Gooden. Possession with Wayland Baptist. Noah Bowling back in for the Lions to replace Hall. Under 14 minutes to go. Mason for Cervantes. Udo getting past Mason, but met by Polius on the help, and the shot is short.
Sager's been able to make it tough on Thad Udo today.
As you mentioned earlier, they got the big game by Udo, but quiet from Cervantes. It's been flipped today. Mason, beautiful find in the two-handed flush for Polius. We have seen some great passing by both teams underneath.
Sagu finally starting to see the ball go in the basket with some consistency.
Yeah, they've made 4 of their last 5. Udo, a step past Mason, contested at the rim by Polius. Couldn't get the dunk cleanly, but it ends up going in.
The feats of strength on both ends.
Kashila over Mason for 3.
It's 2 threes for Josh Kashila in this game. That's not really part of his game. He's capable.
He's got 10. With 7 points here in the first 7.5 minutes of the half. R.J. Mason circling to his left for Udo. Wraparound pass intended for Washington, who's first called for a 3-second violation. Bailey back in for the Lions, replacing Gooden. Remember, Bailey's got 3 fouls. Wayland is led by as many as 9. Like yesterday, they have led for a large chunk of this game. Kashila got up in the air on the baseline for Polius. Turnaround, gets the roll off the back of the rim.
Yeah, things starting to work a little better for Polius now. He missed some easy ones in the first half and now getting those kind of bounces, but he did a good job. Kashila got caught in the air, and Polius just made himself a big target in the middle.
They pulled within 3. They've got the game's last 5 points, and now 6 of their last 7 from the floor. Mason with 16 to shoot. Cervantes off the mark that time, but Udo smartly taps it out. Shot did not hit the rim. The clock down to 6. Mason tried to lob to Washington. It's deflected to Udo in the right place at the right time.
That was good defense by Sagu, but yeah, just right where he needed to be. Thad Udo to put it in.
Kashila got up again in no man's land. His passes deflected out of bounds by Udo. Reeser and McDougal in for Cervantes in Washington. Isaiah Bowling replacing Nicholas Mason. Looks like Keenan Gooden also going to come in for Kashila. Gooden at the top of the arc. Gets it to Polius. Had a bead behind Reeser and able to finish 8 for Polius here in the half. He had 17 in the second half against OCU yesterday. Back to a 3-point game with 10:46 to play. Mason taking his time on the far side. Tried to get it to Reeser off the roll, but the pass too long for him. Gooden coast to coast with the left hand. It's a 1-point game.
That was great defense by Polius, closing out on the shooter. He's the one that made that pass tough. Getting out on Mason on the switch.
Brannon between the circles. Now it's Mason halfway through the possession. Hesitation towards the baseline, threw it away. Timeout, Wayland Baptist coming up. So Sagu has snatched the momentum. Mason and Brannon, a couple of teammates talking things out over the miscommunication on that last play. So it is 42-41. One of the assistants kind of taking Mason aside, looking to calm their star down a little bit. No, Sagu, and they were down 33-24. They've scored 17 points in about the last 6.5 minutes. Get the lead back down to 1. And now Sagu will look to go back in front on this possession. So Javorian Miller, as well as Gage Hulse, replacing those two guards in Mason and Brannon. Bowling for the lead. Unable to get it to go. Tipped around, ends up in the hands of Polius, who is fouled. This is just the third total shooting foul of the entire game. The foul was on Reeser is first. Polius has tied it with that free throw. A 71.2% free throw shooter on the season. And Sagu is in front. Jabrail Washington will come in for Reeser. Hulse with it for Wayland, finding Miller. Miller stepping through, leaves for Washington, strip, comes to Udo, awkward angle, shot goes. Wayland regains the lead, 44-43. Isaiah Bowling to Noah Bowling, but he was out of bounds.
He had gone out of bounds and didn't reestablish himself before catching the pass. So when he caught the ball and was whistled for being out of bounds, he actually wasn't, and that's why he couldn't believe the call.
You have to get both feet back in, as you mentioned, fully reestablishing yourself. McDougal's three bounces off the rim, then hits the cabling above. That'll be out of bounds and a dead ball. Lions down by 1 at 44-43. Gooden works his way towards the corner with under 7 minutes left. Bailey covered up. Polius at the elbow, 10 to shoot. Polius underneath the basket. Now for Nola Bowling, 3 seconds left. There's going to be a 3-second violation on Polius. And Sagu has had a huge advantage in points off turnovers, 15-6. It was 10-0 at the half. Hulse's corner three, too long. Miller, though, tips it to Udo. Sagu apoplectic. There was no over-the-back call.
Yeah, that's the second time that's happened to Noah Bowling, and he's had inside position. He's got to do a little bit better job of creating a little contact there to get the call.
Isaiah Bowling to Polius. The reverse is good, and he's fouled. Delton Deal still having an animated conversation with one of the officials. Foul is on Washington, his first. There's 2 team fouls aside here, about 12 minutes into the half. Kashila's back in for the Lions. Polius with 1 free throw to tie. But off the back of the rim, rebounded by Miller. Finding Hulse up the far side. Udo's pass is knocked away from behind by Gooden. Bailey leaving for Kashila, crossing to his left. Now leaving for Polius, takes a dribble in, rises up and hits. Sagu back in front.
14 second half points for Joel Polius. He was scoreless in the first half, and he has absolutely come to life here in the second.
Very similar to yesterday. We've still got 7.5 minutes to go. Udo high post against Bailey and is called for a travel. So far, Joel Polius, including today, 3 games in this tournament, is up to 43 points. Bowling leaves for Bailey. Open Kashila for a moment. Now able to get past Hulse, halfway down before it popped out.
I think that's a situation where if you don't take the first one, just go ahead and reverse it again. That second shot in the corner off the pump fake, your angles are just a little bit off down there.
McDougal giving off to Hulse, 10 of the shot clock. And an open shot at the elbow, passed it up. Washington leaves back for Hulse. Hulse to the basket, got bailed out with a foul on Sagu. That's number 4 on Bailey.
Been a tough day for Nathan Bailey. Just 2 points, no field goals, and now 4 fouls.
He was Sagu's, and you look at their first 2 games of the tournament to get them to the finals, their MVP when you look at both games combined.
Oh, and Delton Deal, I don't think he realized who the foul was on. He thought it was going to be on 10, which would be Josh Kashila, only his second.
Yeah,
looked up at the scoreboard and saw 14.
The official clearly signaled 14.
He did, but the problem was he went 1 and then 4 instead of 1 and 4 at the same time. So when Coach Deal looked at him the first time, he just had the 1 in the air. He thought it was 10.
R.J. Miller is back in, as is Nicholas Miller. Brannon on the baseline to Cervantes, who just re-entered. That shot is short. Tipped and now grabbed by Polius with a 1-point lead. Mason driving into the basket is fouled.
I think he's okay.
No hesitation that time. Now, before he got hurt, Nicholas Mason was lapping the field in free throws attempted in the conference. Now, in the regular season, Isaiah Hammonds of MACU ended up passing him because he didn't play for the final 2 weeks. Mason is a 70.4% free throw shooter. Reeser replacing Udo. Mason making the first. Sagu has now matched its point total from the first half. Bounces out, and last touched out of bounds by Alaric Hall. A 2-point Sagu lead with 6:11 to play. Mentioned how Wayland Baptist, 11 games, decided by 1 or 2 possessions. It's thrown away by Brannon. Kashila to the middle, bumping into Brannon, let him play on, tipped around, still loose. Polius has it, off the glass and in. 16 for Polius in the half. A 4-point lead, the largest lead today for Sagu. Cervantes battled up. Washington to his right. Polius drawing a charge.
I mean, Polius is a big dude. It takes a lot to knock him over like that.
Washington has 3 fouls now. Wayland has a 3+ minute scoring drought. Hall out to Mason, elevating free throw line, and it's RJ Mason skying in for the rebound. He's been limited to 5 points today. Cervantes contested 3 off the rim and then over the backboard out of bounds. McDougal in for Brannon. Noah Bowling and Keenan Gooden back in for the Lions. Isaiah Bowling headed towards the, well, he was headed towards the locker room, but now back on the floor. Nicholas Mason also coming out. Kashila for Polius. Lob for Polius!
Oh.
Unable to finish. Washington got a piece of it. McDougal for an open Reeser. Polius erases it. Wayland maintains possession. Mason passing out to McDougal. McDougal off balance with the left hand.
There he did it that time.
No, yeah, I was just going to say Noah Bowling now will be rewarded for his box out. The foul on Washington, who all of a sudden has 4. They've all come within the last few minutes.
But I'm sure that's a coaching thing right there, because when Noah Bowling came out, I'm sure they told him, hey, you got good position, back up a little bit, make him go on top of your back, and you'll get that call, and he did.
Gooden giving off to Hall. Looked like he might have been fouled inadvertently by Cervantes. Now Noah Bowling, circus reverse! A little English off the backboard. 52-46, Clint Gallion going to let his team play on, not call timeout. Under 4 minutes to play.
How about that for the first basket of the game for Noah Bowling? Got the foul on one end, spun it up and in on the other.
9-0 run for the Lions. A foul called on Hall. We've had much more go without a whistle today. A 9-0 run in about 5 minutes. Wayland needing a bucket here. McDougal handing off to Cervantes. Cervantes floating, too strong off the back of the rim. Tipped out, and now 3-on-1 for the Lions. Kashila kind of lost it, but there's Polius to clean it up.
Oh, come on, give him credit. He threw it off the backboard. That was intentional.
And now the Pioneers will call timeout. An 11-0 run for the Lions. It has been now a 17-point swing this half after Wayland Baptist got down by 9 with 16:41 left. Joel Polius, 18 points in the second half. He only played 5 minutes in the first half due to foul trouble. He was 0 for 3 in the first half, 8 of 10 from the floor here in the second half. And I would have to go look at the play-by-play, but I'm pretty sure he missed his first shot of this half as well. Unofficially, we will say he's 8 of his last 9, and all unofficially. But he has been the key cog to Sagu's comeback here against Wayland Baptist. The last basket for the Pioneers was a Thad Udo bucket at the 8:19 mark.
Yeah, he did. Polius missed a layup at the 17:35 mark in the second half. He opened the half with a turnover as well. So after those two possessions, he found something. By the way, would like to issue an apology. We had the wrong letters on our score bug there for a little while, and I think we've got it all straightened out now. So score on your screen should be correct now.
It is 54-46 Sagu. McDougal needs some help. Able to evade the 5-second call. 10 to shoot for Cervantes. Now Mason with 5. Mason over Hall. It's short. A lot of these shots are short. And we mentioned how Wayland unable to play their quarterfinal game till Saturday. Maybe a little fatigue setting in. Their drought continues. A foul on the moving screen on Gooden. This is when they've been their best, though, taking turnovers from Sagu. But they are approaching 6 minutes without a point. Cervantes is fouled. This will be the first time Wayland Baptist goes to the line in the half. They've only shot one free throw today. That was also by Cervantes. Cervantes missed his first free throw. Wayland desperately needs him to come through here. Got the roll off the front of the rim. Bailey in for Hall. Bailey, the only Lion in foul trouble with 4. Washington has 4 for the Pioneers. No one on either team has as many as 3 outside of those two. Cervantes going 2 for 2. He has cut the lead back to 6 with 2:23 remaining. A whistle. Oh yeah, the shot clock did not fully reset. I believe they're going to take it down to 26. Yeah, there must have been an inadvertent push of the 20-second reset button instead of the full 30. Bailey tried to get it to Polius. It's batted out by Washington. Sagu maintains possession. Kashila opens, 6 of the shot clock. Reeser, an impressive rebound soaring in. Under 2 to go. Here's R.J. Mason, leaving for Cervantes. Bounce feed to Mason, over Polius is short.
Defense for Sagu has been phenomenal here in the second half.
Holding Sagu 9 of 24 from the floor. Gooden dribbled it off his foot and it's a turnover. Mason doesn't have numbers, but he's the best option. He's got the basket and the foul.
And that's 5 on Nathan Bailey.
Bailey fouls out with 2 points today on 0 of 5 shooting. He did have 4 steals in his 17 minutes. Isaiah Bowling replaces him. R.J. Mason, first free throw today. 81% on the season, amongst the conference's best. And he sinks it to make it a 3-point game. Now the last 5 points, the way of Wayland Baptist. Nicholas Mason in for Keenan Gooden. 1:21 left. Sagu trying to win a 3rd conference tournament title in the past 5 seasons. High post for Polius. Barreling his way against Washington, who is now fouled out. Jabreo Washington had all 5 fouls in this half. Washington fouling out with 2 points, 9 rebounds. A rare no-block game for Washington, but even though it doesn't show up in the stats, of course, always a force around the rim. So both teams losing a key defender. 1:09 on the clock. Udo will come in for Washington, hoping his Wayland Baptist career is not over. The school's all-time blocks leader. Polius a free throw away from a 20-point second half. Alaric Hall and Gooden in for Noah Bowling and Mason.
Maybe doing a little defense for offense substitution for Delton Deal down the stretch here.
This is a season high now for Polius with 20 points. If Sagu wins, the likely tournament MVP. McDougal with under a minute to go leads for Udo, down by 5. Udo changing direction, got fouled, the shot rolls off. Isaiah Bowling picking up the whistle. Thad Udo is 76% free throw shooter. Cleaning up some moisture after Bowling hit the floor. And Wayland Baptist just one made basket since the 8:19 mark. They had a 46-43 lead before Sagu. As Udo's first free throw goes. Sagu then went on an 11-0 run. Nicholas Mason back in. Udo goes 2 for 2. 52.3 seconds left, 1 possession game. Pioneers can play it out defensively here. No fouls to give. Cervantes on bowling, 18 to shoot, 40 on the game clock. Kashila off to bowling, down to 12 on the shot clock. Polius right of the paint. Isaiah Bowling pulling and missing. Rebounded by Udo. 25 seconds to go. It's a 3-point game. Mason off to Reeser. Down to 16 seconds. Back to Mason. Fouled on the three. The shot almost went. The end result is positive. Everything leading up to it, not so much. But R.J. Mason nearly sank the three while fouled. 3 free throws for a potential tie for Mason with 13.7 seconds left. There's the first. He's made this first two, and I think Sagu wants him to think about this third one. For a little bit, it'll be a full timeout. Second straight day, Wayland Baptist has been involved in a beauty of a ball game. R.J. Mason still has 1 free throw remaining to tie the game. I should say potentially tie the game. The last championship game that went to overtime was 2012. Oklahoma Christian beat Oklahoma Baptist in that contest. Thanks to Rich Tortorelli for providing that, and a thanks to Rich of OCU and also oversees the main sports communications for the conference, for providing all sorts of great information for tonight's championship games. And a thanks to all the sports information directors working around the conference for their hard work.
2 timeouts left for Sagu, 3 for Wayland Baptist was the indication from the scorers table.
That's what I've got.
If the possession arrow were to come into play, that's going to favor Sagu.
If Wayland Baptist were to foul Sagu, it is still just 1-1. R.J. Mason has made the first 2 of 3 free throws. Mason was scoreless in the first half. He's got 10 here in the second half. Just 3 of 10 from the floor today. This for the tie. Nothing but net. 13.7 seconds left. Here we go. Kashila with under 10 has it for the Lions. Kashila to his right with 6. He pulls up and hits. Joshua Kashila, who in the 2 previous conference tournament games have had a total of 40 points, has put the Lions back in front with 4.4 seconds to go.
And he played that exactly right. Took the shot with about 6 seconds left. Give his team the opportunity to get a second chance bucket. They don't need it.
58-56 our score. We told you the last game to go to overtime in the conference championship. Last one that was a 1-possession game was just a few years ago, 2019, with OCU edging John Brown 74-73.
I believe that was Trey Bryant making the game-winning layup. That game, that was at Abe Lemons Arena. He went the length of the floor against JBU to make the game-winning shot.
Sagu led by as many as 9 with 16:41 left. Sagu at one point had an 11-0 run. They took an 8-point lead with 2:26 to go. After R.J. Mason had just hit 3 free throws to tie the game, Joshua Kashila, the 5th-year senior and near 2,000-point scorer, bearing a shot from the right side. They will not guard the inbounder Reeser. Brannon, McDougal, Mason, and Cervantes on the floor, along with Reeser. Oh, now Polius will guard the inbounder. Reeser is going to have to call timeout. Still 2 timeouts remaining for Wayland Baptist, 1 for Sagu.
And Joel Polius has made some big plays in this game. I don't think he smiled as big as he did when he caused Reeser to have to use that timeout on the inbound.
Wayland just making sure that Reeser can still run the baseline, which he can since it follows a made basket, even though they have called timeout since. Clint Gallion and his staff talking things over. 4.4 seconds left. Sagu by 2, 58-56. Wayland has limited Sagu in the scoring column like they needed to, but they find themselves down here with under 5 seconds to go. For Sagu, their season low in points scored is 60. They have to go back to a non-conference game against Wiley on November the 13th. They won that game 60-58. The 5 defenders for Sagu, it is Polius Gooden, Paul Kashila, and Isaiah Bowling. Again, the 5 for Wayland Baptist. Reeser, the inbounder, joined by McDougal, Brannon, Mason, and Cervantes, all capable shooters. They reset the clock to an even 5 seconds now, and another timeout called by Reeser. Well, whatever they had drawn up the first time didn't work. Second time didn't either, and maybe the third time will be the charm here for Wayland Baptist.
Yeah, it was a completely different inbound play, too, because on the previous one, everybody was lined up at the mid-court line, and that time he had everybody set up in the backcourt.
Again, after this game is over, we will have the trophy presentation, announcement of the tournament MVP, and the winning team, I believe, will cut down the nets. Maybe not. Not entirely sure about that.
Well, the women's game is supposed to start at 8, so
yeah, that's why they built in the extra half hour. Selection day will be on Thursday, so just 2 days from now. And regional sites, 16 regional sites to begin both the men's and women's national tournament. Sagu will host a regional. Wayland Baptist likely needing this game to get into the national tournament. Wayland Baptist was selected in 2020 before the COVID-19 pandemic canceled it. Also made it in 2019, 2018, made it all the way to the Elite Eight. Trying for their 7th bid in the last 9 seasons. Sagu's going to have their 10th bid in the last 11 regardless. All right, here we go again. Take 3 with 5 seconds left. They'll heave it towards Udo. Udo's got it with 3 seconds, dribbled it off his foot. Lions will dribble it out. And Sagu, for the 3rd time in 5 seasons, is the pride of the Sooner Athletic Conference. 58-56, the final score. Conference tournament champions in 2018, 2020, and 2022.
I think Wayland got what they wanted there. They were trying to run what we in Oklahoma know as the Bryce Drew play, but Udo didn't ever get the pass off, and like you said, just kind of dribbled it off his foot, recovered by Sagu, and that's the end of the game. And bubble teams exhale.
Yes, including some in the conference, including some that happen to play in this very gym as their home court. as it is a 58-56 final. What a run by Wayland Baptist, though, to even get all the way to the conference tournament final. As we mentioned, after they played SAGU for the first time and lost, they were 8-10. They went 11-2 entering today's game and won 9 of their last 10. They led by as many as 9 in the second half. Another dramatic finish, but ultimately it was one of the best players in SAGU history, Joshua Kashila, hitting the game winner officially with 5 seconds left in the game that sends SAGU to the conference tournament win. It is one of the lower scoring conference tournament finals in quite some time, but don't let the lower score fool you. This was an outstanding game here at the Gaulke Activity Center. It is the lowest score by a winning team in the tournament's history. The SAGU players celebrating. We mentioned they got off to such a great start, as expected. Such high expectations this year after making it to the Fab Four last season. Preseason ranked number 3. They hit a bumpy patch, lost a couple of their mainstays due to injuries for a bit earlier in February. But they finished strong. And again for Delton Deal, his teams are now 10-2 in the conference tournament since he took over at SAGU. His 3rd conference championship in his 5 years as well.
Rashawn Coleman, Cameron Hines named to the all-tournament team. Those from the semifinal teams, OCU and USAO respectively for those two.
R.J. Mason, not surprisingly, named to the conference tournament team. Mason did all he could again to try and send his team to the final. He had 11 points all the second half. Jabrail Washington also being named to the all-conference tournament team.
And the last all-tournament team member from SAGU, Nathan Bailey.
Nathan Bailey also named to the team. I would have to think Joel Polius is going to be named tournament MVP, but I'm not the one in charge.
Tournament most valuable player from SAGU, Joshua Kashila.
It'll be Joshua Kashila. Kashila, the second time he has earned conference tournament MVP. Also got it in the last conference tournament win for the Lions in 2020.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, this year's Sooner Athletic Conference Tournament champions, Southwestern Assemblies of God Lions and Coach Delton Deal.
And congratulations to the SAGU Lions. Conference tournament champs once again. Looking at the final scores, or final box score here. And SAGU is held to a season low 58 points. They're not going to care about that. 22 of 51 from the floor overall, 43.1%, 56% of the second half after they were held 8 of 26 in the first half. We mentioned how they were 2 of 14 inside the arc in the first half, but reverse course to 13 of 20 in the second half. They were 7 of 9 at the free throw line for Wayland Baptist, 37.5% shooting. 21 of 56 overall, 6 of 21 from three-point range, just 2 of 10 of the second half after they made 4 of 11 in the first half, 8 of 9 at the line. Wayland Baptist winning on the glass 34-30. That's been a big indicator for SAGU if they win or lose. Usually when they lose the rebounding battle, they lose the game, but not today. Wayland Baptist, 9-5 edge in offensive rebounds. Second chance points were 13-7 for the Pioneers. 17 turnovers by Wayland Baptist, 16 by SAGU. Again, Wayland Baptist, another game in which the decided advantage in points off turnovers at 20-10. Points in the paint pretty even, 28-26. Bench points 13-6 for Wayland Baptist. For the victorious SAGU Lions, led by Joel Poley, a season-high 20. They all came in the second half. He had 17 in the second half yesterday, 20 in the second half today, 39 points in the 2 games overall in the semis and finals here at the Gaulke Activity Center. He also had 6 rebounds. The other double-figure score for SAGU was their leader, Joshua Kashila, with 12, including the game winner with 5 seconds left. Kashila goes 5 of 11 from the floor. 9 of his points came in the second half. 6 points for Isaiah Bowling and Caleb Hughley. Those were 6 much-needed points for SAGU when they were having trouble finding their way into the basket in the first. 5 each for Nicholas Mason, who made his return for the first time in 7 games, as well as 5 for Keenan Gooden, 2 each for Nathan Bailey, one of their premier players. He was in foul trouble all day, finished with 2 points on 0 of 5 shooting, and 2 points for Noah Bowling. For Wayland Baptist, Josh Cervantes, his second 20-point game of the season. Cervantes made 4 of the team's 6 three-pointers. He was 7 of 17 overall. R.J. Mason also had 11, all of which came in the second half. 10 points for Thad Udo, second consecutive double-figure game for Udo. 8 for Jackson Reeser, 3 by Gage Halson, a pair each for Dylan McDougall and Jabril Washington. Leading rebounder for Wayland Baptist was Washington with 9, and for SAGU, Keenan Gooden with 7. Just a great conference tournament final here between SAGU and Wayland Baptist, with SAGU again for the 3rd time in 5 seasons cutting down the nets.
Very similar, both teams, to their performances yesterday. You know, had R.J. Mason, tough first halves in both the semifinals and the finals, and he gets the opportunity and ties the game under 20 seconds to play. Joel Polius, like you said, again, explosion in the second half, scoreless in the first half, and he goes for 20 in the second frame, also got 6 rebounds. So a huge game for Joel Polius, despite not being on the all-tournament team. And, you know, can't argue with Josh Kashila being the most valuable player. You hit the game winner in the championship game, that you ought to get that trophy. But Polius was absolutely fantastic in this tournament. Just a great way to end the men's final, and hopefully the women's final can be just as good coming up.
Polius in the quarterfinals, 10 points, 9 rebounds against MacU, 19 points, 11 rebounds against OCU, and then tonight 20 points and 6 rebounds. An outstanding tournament for Polius, the senior from the island of St. Lucia. As Nicholas Mason right now cutting down the net. Mason also missed the 2020 tournament. So great to see him, given all he has done in his career, finally be able to play in one of these games. And Mason gave them 20 minutes off the bench tonight. 5 points, didn't look to score a whole lot, but also ended up with a team-high 4 assists. Now still drawing a lot of attention and able to find his teammates. As Andrew mentioned, the women's game will be coming up next as the top seed Wayland Baptist Flying Queens look for a 4th consecutive conference tournament title. They take on the upstart Texas Wesleyan Rams, who are in the Sooner Athletic Conference tournament final for the first time since they joined the conference back in the 2013-14 season. They're in a conference tournament final of any kind since 2011. Wayland winning both games against Texas Wesleyan, but then again, Texas Wesleyan had lost twice to MacU before running away with a win against the host Evangels last night. And that game will tip at approximately 8 o'clock. One last time, our final score in the men's championship game was SAGU 58, Wayland Baptist 56. SAGU is now 22-8. Wayland Baptist will likely finish their season at 19-13. Congratulations to both schools. And again, we will be back with your women's final coming up at 8 o'clock Central Time.